Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. And today is episode 88 of the Spot Network. And I'm one of your hosts, Diamond. I got my brother Zenas, DJ Zenas Official in the building, and I got my
Yes,
other
sir.
brother Ramond, and we are the Spot Network. Today's topic is going to be a really good one. It's something that we all talk about. It's something that we actually were doing right now in our personal life. And then we just want to share things that have worked for us over the years, over the course, we've been doing this for over a year now, things that have been working for us. So whatever little things that work for us, we just want to come out here and share those things to, our friends, our family, and our followers, everyone else. And today we're just going to talk about living below your means. And when we talk about financial literacy, one thing that's very important to even get started, people talk about, oh, you got to save, you got to invest. But in order for you to do all that, you got to find a way to live below your means. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. And my question to get this conversation started, what do you guys think are some of the main reasons why people nowadays don't live below their means?
Kick us off, Z. I see you smirking over there. Kick us off, Z.
Man, you know why. You already know why. Social media, man, flex culture. Everybody out here trying to flex on the gram, man. That's why people don't be living below their means, man. I feel like everybody out here trying to shine and stunt a little bit, and I get it. I definitely get it. But I think there's also like a taboo that comes
Mm,
with the idea of like living below your means, right? I think there's like the idea that only like broke people do that, right? But that's such a misconception. There's plenty of wealthy people who live below their means. You just would never know, right?
right.
Like, and that's the whole idea. That's the whole point of it, right? So I just feel like that's a big reason why is like the whole toxic flex culture that everybody's just trying to allude to on the gram, like, oh, I got money and I need everybody to know I got money. Um, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece right there, man. And I think another piece though, man, just to give some people the benefit of the doubt, man. We not taught to. A lot of times we're
Hmm.
not taught anything about money,
Right.
and to be honest, like you think that like if you have $100 to spend, then you have $100 to spend. Like that's
Right.
just kind of like right. Like if I made 100, I spend 100. Like that's kind of like I feel like that's how you start with money, right? Like if I got this
Right.
money, I have it to spend, right? So I think the big piece is kind of really not being taught it first, and then
Hmm.
the second piece is just really like it's hard.
Right.
It's
Right.
hard, man, and some people are just to be honest check to check. So I don't want to even discourage that like it's possible sometimes to live under when
Right.
I only have enough to make
Yeah,
ends meet. You know what I mean? How
Right.
much
yeah.
more should I be cutting down? You know what I mean? But I think just the key to that honestly would be work on making your income grow and your expenses stay the same. You know
Right.
what I mean? And that's
Right.
that's that's what I think is one of the hardest things to do though.
Right.
Is keep them the same while you're growing. You know?
Right. No,
Hmm.
I think you guys both made some really valid points. I do agree that I like what you said, Ramon. I think it first starts with like education part, because most people just growing up, we weren't educated when it comes to finances, right? Those are the things that we have to like figure out on our own just by doing research. And luckily for us, we figure it out sooner than later. And I think also too, people don't look at money as a tool. They just look at money. Oh, whenever I have that, I just gotta spend it. But I feel like
Yeah.
if you just look at the rich people and people who have more wealth, they look at money as a tool. Like this dollar is not just for me to spend. This dollar has to like be able to like use this dollar to get something else. Like when one of the phrase that resonated with me from the richest man in Babylon when he talked about just like let your money like armies, right? Go out there and like collect more, right? So it's kind of like just using that analogy, like when you have a dollar, think about that dollar as a tool to get more. Because if you just go
Hmm.
and just spend it to the grocery store, that end of the day you have nothing else. But if you invest that dollar and then allow that dollar to maybe bring you by 50 cents, now you got something else and you have your principles left behind. But I feel like just most of all, we weren't thought that way, right? So they won't look at money
Hmm.
too. We just want to spend it. And also, people are nowadays, we talked about it before, not knowing how to delay gratification. Like you might want something, you're like, shit, I don't have the money
Yeah.
right now, but like,
Yep.
Yeah.
shoot,
Yep.
I need to get that. And I used to be there too until I
Yeah.
learned, so I think there's so many factors are involved in the reason why people are not living below their means, and I think those are some of the reason why I think so.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, DG, because a big part of living below your means is discipline. You
Right,
know, right? It's about constantly budgeting, managing your finances, knowing exactly where your money needs to be going and not where you want it to be going, right? And to the point of what we talked about, a lot of those things we don't learn, man. Uh, Investing, there's nothing sexy about investing, right?
right,
It doesn't sound sexy, it doesn't look sexy, you know, right? Um, I think a lot of the other things that, to your point, DG, lead into like instant gratification, like booking that flight, taking those trips, which I fully support that, by the way. Like
right,
you should absolutely go and live your life. You
right,
should spend your money on what it is that you want to spend it on, right?
right,
But if you're talking about trying to like accumulate wealth, break generational cycles, build strong habits, those types of things, that all entails discipline, right? And
right,
so it takes really you taking a step back and being real with yourself about what your priorities are. And that's the biggest misconception that I
right,
feel like when it comes to living below your means, there's this idea that only broke people do it. No, it's just making the radical decision to like radically prioritize what your needs are, right?
right,
That's what living below your means is. And it's like living below your means doesn't have to be permanent, right? Like it's biting the bullet for the time being, in the immediate future, so that in the
right,
long term, I like myself, the people around me, like all the
right,
people I care about, uh people that I don't even know yet, I can help out, like all of that stuff. It takes a lot, man, and I think it's rewiring our brains to understand that, right? And so, yeah, I agree that we haven't learned that, but a huge piece of that is discipline too.
right, right.
And I
And go ahead,
go ahead.
Ramon.
I was gonna say what I think just to add to that point is like a lot of people it's that feeling too of like I work for something, I earn something, I deserve to spend it. I
Yeah.
deserve peace. I deserve it. I earn this, right? Or
Right,
and I think that even follows them up with they call the lifestyle creep. I think that even follows them up as they start to make more money. They like I worked, I applied, what I'm saying, I got the job. As I move up, I'm making more money. I deserve to, what I mean,
splurge, right,
splurge and have better food and what I'm saying. But when I go out, man, a couple glasses of wine, let's get the steak tonight. I deserve I deserve these things, right? But I think to be honest, and this is like it sounds kind of weird, but I think sometimes we prioritize our like current self way more than our future self. And
right,
we act like we want our future self to be a version of us that like we see in our head, but we don't prioritize that person at all.
right,
Hmm.
We
right,
don't prioritize who we're going to be later. You know what I mean? We're not putting
right.
nothing to the side for them. We're not, investing in our health. And investing can come in a lot of different ways too, right? And
Mm-hmm.
living, you know, but like I think that's like Z said, it's the priority thing, but prioritizing the current self because like they said, like the homie said in college, man, we got so much time. we think we got all this time. We think we got all this time, but the truth is
Right,
we you never really know, man. But we know for sure that living below your means now, you will have something on top of what your means are. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
If you make $100 and you spend 80, then there's 20 that you can do something with, whether it's save, whether it's invest, whether it's put it into your own business, whether it's to invest in anything that you want to do, but you just know for sure that's 100% chance that's gonna happen. You have a little
Right,
bit extra if you save it. You know what I mean? And what you do from there is it's up to you. But I just
right.
think that that's important, man.
No, you mentioned one thing, Ramon. He's talking about deserve, right? Sometimes we feel like we deserve these things, and I think it's important. It's good to feel like you deserve certain things, but however,
Absolutely.
sometimes our bank account, our budget said no, right? So otherwise, like, so I feel like even though sometimes you deserve those things, which is cool. If you work hard, you deserve this thing, but by you deserving those things in that specific moment, is that gonna like put you more in debt? Then for me, it's like, all right, not now you try to go above your means, right? Take a step back. Even though you feel like you deserve a nice vacation right now, but if you're currently in debt and your goal is to get out of debt, they're not nice vacation right now doesn't make sense to me.
Hmm.
Life is short. I guess we should have fun, but like if your goal is like financial freedom or I want to get out of debt, it doesn't make sense to go to Dubai right now if you're already in 20K credit card debt to accumulate more debt because you feel like you deserve Dubai.
Hmm.
Maybe find fun, do something else, in Colorado, whatever you are, go to the park until you can like get in that position financially to do those things. You don't deserve that right now. But I feel like sometimes often we feel like we deserve so many things. And even though our bank account doesn't reflect those things, we start doing them. And at the end of the day, it's like we put ourselves more in debt. And now it becomes harder for us to get out of it. Now it can become harder for us to like save and invest and do all these things when we could just like take a step back. You know what? Even though I deserve this right now, but like I can't afford that right now. Let me take
Hmm.
a step back. So I feel like nowadays, like what Z talked about before, just like with the clout, social media, and all that stuff, we all want to stunt. But at the end of the day, sometimes stunt costs money, right? So,
And
so I feel
sometimes even sometimes you don't even want to stunt, but then you just see other people stunt, and it's just like, damn, like like I said, it's all social media is a trap, man. Like this
right,
whole idea that the illusion of comparison, man. Where
right,
it's just like, DG just took a trip to Africa, man. I need to go right now too, even though I know I
right,
can't afford it, but I don't care. I'm still gonna go because I deserve it. There's
right,
to your point, DG, there's nothing wrong with treating yourself. Like I think
right,
you absolutely deserve um those moments, to absolutely indulge a little bit. But there's a such thing as overindulgence for
oh
sure,
yeah,
right? Like that absolutely exists, and you have to know when to say no. That's
right,
literally just the biggest thing, is just knowing when to say no,
right,
because of what your priorities are.
right.
I heard a quote recently from shout out to Earn Your Leisure, man, from Rashad. He said he said you can't say yes to your desires every single time and expect to be successful.
Facts.
And it's just really sad with me too, right? Like
Hmm.
sometimes for sure, like you do deserve it sometimes, but you can't
Right.
like give into it every time and then still want to
Sure.
be the version that in your mind that is
Right.
that, you know what I mean? Like you just
Right.
those don't add up. Like you
Right.
doing your whatever you desire all the time doesn't
Right.
really connect to that person that you want to be. Because to
Right.
be honest, most people, if we think about the person we want to be, they want to be able to have the discernment and power in themselves to not give in to certain desires, right? Like you
Right.
see that ultimate version of yourself, you want to be somebody to be like, nah, I'm good on that. Like,
Right.
nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like you want to be, I think everybody to a certain degree wants to be able to like stand in their own, like that's not for me. I'm good. Whatever that
Right.
is. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
whether they, you get to financial freedom, there's certain things that people can't offer you that money would do, right? Like you just,
Right.
I'm good. I'm good on that, right?
Right.
If you
It's
don't
fact.
got it, sometimes they can kind of linger something over you, and you be like, I just really need it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I think kind of like creating that discipline on the way up gets you to where you're
Right.
there. Like you don't
Right.
have to really
Absolutely.
shift from that,
Right.
that person
But
that you actually want to be.
now the desire part you mentioned, I think it's a good analogy, Ramon, because at the end of the day, it seems this analogy applies to anything. I would just kind of like talk about fitness for a second. If your goal is to be in the best shape ever, you gotta
Yeah,
control your desire. You can't just be like, oh
fact.
shit, I want that cake all day, whatever. You see, like
It's
you
a
can't.
fact.
That crazy. You gotta control that
The
because at the end
motherfuckers
of
be
the
good too.
day.
You know what I'm
Really good for real, like fire, fire. But you gotta be like, you know what? I want my goal bad, and I want this. And it's hard sometimes. And sometimes you're gonna give in, But you can't just always though. That's the thing I'm talking about. Like, oh yeah, it's cool every now and then you give in, but like to reach to that pinnacle, you have to at some point be like, I don't want this because you know that by doing that, it's gonna like make it harder for you to reach your goal. And I feel like sometimes people lack that discipline to
saying?
override that desire. Whenever that desire kicks in, you're like, damn, like, even though I don't have it right now, I want to do it. I feel like once you create that discipline, and I think like Papi Shampoo talked about that in earlier about the discipline. I feel like once you have that discipline to say no to those desires, it just kind of like helps you. Once you master them, which is hard to master, bro, but I feel like once you master them, it become a lot easier because yeah, even though your desire is telling you, yeah, oh, bro, go to the mall right now, you got some bread, go buy that new pair of Nike shoes, but you're thinking like, oh shit, bro, I want to like by 35 or by like 40, I want to be in a better position financially. So now your
Right.
goal is like now you're battling that desire of telling you to go and spend, and then that other desire is telling you that I want to do this. On average, if you have that discipline, you're more likely to like override that desire and be more focused and work towards that goal that you're trying to accomplish.
Man, let's get specific real quick, man. What are some ways that y'all actually do live below your means? Like, what's some things that help y'all do it?
I would start, bro. I would say just having a budget first, right? Having a budget. So a budget is just gonna like figuring out how much you make a month, your monthly, income take home after taxes and all that, and then calculate all your expenses, what everything are. At the end of the day, that for example, let's say if you make $8,000 a month, and then all your expenses like maybe $5,000, every month you have about 3 grand left. So now you have 3 grand to either invest, save, or do something with it, right? So 9 days. So now you know that. Let's say if you see a pair of watch, you see a nice watch that costs 4 grand. You know by you buying that watch, that's gonna put you above your means because now you only have 3 grand left over. So at the end of the day, I think budget by doing that budget and be cognizant of that. And now you know what you need to spend at the end of the month. You know why you got leftover. So it just for me personally, it just helps you makes better decision because like if I have 3 grand, if that watch is like 5 grand, if I know if I buy that watch right now, I'm not saving this month, and then next month I'm thinking extra 2 grand that's supposed to go towards my savings for this watch. So knowing that is like, what, I can afford this watch right now. Maybe I just gotta like, invest and do other things in a few months if I'm in a better position to get that. So just like having a budget and tracking all your expenses and then just figuring ways to like stay below that. Because at the end of the day, you don't just want money coming in and then everything is going out.
Hmm.
So you gotta like let's see, look at all your account, figuring out what's some of the, debt, what's some things that I'm buying that I don't use. So the goal at the end of the day is like a business. You want to like maximize your profit overall. The same thing because you are a business too as an individual. So whatever money you're coming in from your 9 to 5, that's technically you your own entity, right? So you got to make sure at the end of the day you have residual left for rainy day because shit might happen. Your tire might get flat. You might need to get a new tire. So at the end of the day, living below your means, making sure that whatever money comes in, you have leftover every month. You're not just spending everything. So that's kind of like the way I go about doing it.
Know that. You see?
Yeah, I think similar. Like I think you have to budget. I think you have to plan accordingly. Um, Something I've been doing more recently, in recent months. Well, not even months, more weeks. Which I want to give a shout out to DG, Kels, uh, JB, and Greg. We've been in this group, where we're on our fitness grind, right? Just out here trying to like be as sexy as we possibly can. But a huge piece of that is obviously eating well too, right? So one of the ways that you can live, anyone who knows me knows I'm a foodie. I love to eat, man. When I tell you I love to eat, I love to eat, boy. I
For
love
real.
to eat, man.
I can hear the
But
passion in your voice, Z. I
you see
know.
what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Voice
Like, boy,
cracked and everything.
we start talking about food and I just light up. Boy,
Boy,
you see what I'm saying?
you sound like you finna stuff.
But I think as much as I love to eat out, it's just especially in regards to just saving money and obviously losing weight, all those things, like the best way to do that is go grocery shopping. Have groceries available, and whatnot. And that's one of the biggest ways that I've been living below my means more recently is just like, only allotting so much money towards eating out each week, where it's just like, all right, like, as opposed to eating out, what used to be like 4 days a week type deal, where it's just like, nah, you only eat out like 1 or 2 times a week. That's it. And other than that, you focus on cooking your meals and whatnot, and that's one of the biggest ways that I go about it, in my life at the moment. So, but I ain't gonna lie though, that cake be looking good, man. I ain't gonna lie, boy. Every time that cake be staring me right back in my soul, man. I'll be like,
And it tastes even better.
dang,
It's good
dang.
too.
I don't got too much time. I'm about to head to the gym, but I will say though, y'all did hit the hammer on the nail, and I'm even applying this to my life right now, just because I'm trying to get a new spot. But a biggest thing. with financially, and especially like me having kids now, is the way that I look at it is like a, you know, if y'all play like 2K, right? And there's like your needs and then like your wants, right? And then
Mhm.
you want to make sure that that green, to maximize that green as much as possible at the end of the month, so that that's like your save or invest money or leftover
Mhm.
money or whatever, you know what I mean? And so just trying to hit that green and being like, okay, like I at least saved like 150 this month or whatever, you know, and then put that away, or you know, save it for a rainy day or whatever. And you know, not trying to lean towards like, okay, what did we do this month that like really kind of tank, you know, the pockets or whatever, you know what I mean? And
Right.
then
Yeah.
reevaluate it. But also too, I think another thing is like, I feel like timing, like that's kind of like a myth almost, is like, oh, I'm gonna start at the first of the month, or
Right.
you know, on a Monday, or
Right.
this and that. Like you could honestly just start as soon as, you know what I mean, you have the time to do it, you
You
know?
can
Right.
start right now.
Yeah,
Move
like
twenty
at
dollars.
this
Move
moment.
$20 to your savings right now. You know.
Right now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and two, y'all even get on me is like, you know, with investing, like just putting like $10 a week or something. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that accumulates. You know, so I think that that's like the biggest thing, is just making sure that like the like I think I saw this thing with his name is Real Tez. Shout out to him. He basically said, and I felt this when I had my second, is with your needs, you either need to make more money if you get more needs, or you get less needs and make less money. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so for me, right, like, and this is just full transparency, I transitioned to a new job. So in that time frame, I had like little to no money, right, coming in or this and that. And you know, I had to minimize my needs and wants. Like I
Right.
couldn't go out, I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that. And you know, I eventually got by, but it was just more of like, oh, like I really don't need this Netflix subscription. I barely be at home. You know
Facts.
what I mean?
Right.
Or
Facts.
Spotify, like, yeah, I use it here and there, you know what I mean? I could just pull up the YouTube or whatever. And, you know, those are uh, s- specific things, but I'm just saying that, like, and also, too, for me right now, I'm cracking down on my subscriptions. So,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
like one of the things that like we feel like we need in that moment, just because like we want to watch this show or watch this
Right.
movie. And then
Yeah.
you sitting here now paying $10 a month for something that you don't even know that you're paying. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and then two, you know, just the biggest thing is really being cautious. Like it blew my mind when my pops told me this, but he was like, you know, I don't really look at my bank account probably like once a week. And I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean? But and I had to put him on to game, like, you know, like we need to be checking that every day because you just don't know
Shoot.
what's coming out. You know what I
I check it
mean?
way too much sometimes.
Or but I would rather be checking it too much than too little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Facts.
and so, you know, but I think that it's really
Is that
just
money
kind
still
of,
there? Yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
you
You're like
know,
17 minutes
yeah,
ago.
you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you have your food in the microwave and you be checking, like, okay, like, is
Yeah.
this still
Right.
hot? You know what I
Gotta check
mean?
the things. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, not just, and I think too, it's also a generational thing. Like, you know, I know my parents was not taught nearly half of the stuff that they taught me. You know what I mean? And I can even, you know, say that for like Ramon, like him learning all the things, and then two, passing it to that generation. That's like a huge piece, because you
Right.
know, like credit for my parents, like they had to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Like as
Hmm.
far as just, you know, understanding how to do credit and how to play the game and how to keep up with it, right? Uh those things like plays a big piece into not only just you knowing it, like as far as like educational wise, but also too, it kind of pushes you more to want to have that discipline. You know what I
Right.
mean? Seeing that score go up, you like, ah,
Right.
okay,
Oh yeah.
let me clear this out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
It's
two,
like
it's
a
kind of like,
game.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like clearing your desk almost. Like, okay, I have this right here, I have that right here, you know what I mean? And whenever I need it, I just pull it out and be like, okay, cool. I use this, but then I'm gonna put that right back. You know what I mean? And that clears your desk to where it's like, okay, I could actually, you know, see my desk. You know what I mean? I don't got
Right,
papers all over everywhere or whatever.
Hmm.
So, and I think that that's really huge. And I do love what y'all are doing, making sure that everybody's understanding that, and to like applying it to real life situations, like
Hmm.
how Diamond, he was like, all right, or I think it was Ramon, but just like, let's put it into perspective, like what's, a couple of things that you feel like you don't need that
right.
we could
Yeah,
put on the list to
yeah,
exit out, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I do appreciate that, and just kind of spreading that game, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
absolutely. And I'm glad you
yeah.
mentioned it because like that's one of the easiest ways to eliminate really just overhead is subscriptions, boy.
Correct.
So all these
Bro,
monthly, everything's a monthly subscription now. Boy,
Yeah.
you
bro,
can get a monthly subscription to brush your teeth. You can get a monthly subscription to floss
anything,
your ear, like
anything.
anything. I'm just like, fam, like, why is everything a monthly subscription? It's so crazy, you
Got
know.
You know what I'm
scent
saying?
Um,
bird. That boy got the upgraded
you
tender,
see,
all kind of, what are we doing?
be sitting here like, what is this? Because I ain't gonna lie, that's happened to me one too many times. Like, what the hell is this charge? You know,
Right.
you got to start investigating. You got to look at the description in your bank statement. Like, what is? Hold
Bro,
up,
Them
man.
them free
I
Come
trials be
on,
know,
man.
getting you, boy. Them free trials, boy.
bro,
Hold up.
I know at least one time this has happened to y'all, and Ramon, I know you're going to get on my head on this, but you see like an Apple charge, and you like, what the hell came out of my account? And like, you
Right.
got to really investigate that. You can't just like see the charge and be like, oh, okay, like that,
Right.
it was that. You know what I mean? And so
That
you
never
having
happened
to
to me.
go into the website and shit, and got to see like, ah, dang, okay, I got that. All right, cool.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, I'm guilty of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but just those subscriptions be really killing. You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
They do.
That was a
And
grab
two,
and main addition.
And they
we in
add up
it,
too. They add up a
They
lot.
add up fast,
bro,
fast.
bro. And two, it be catching you off guard too, because you be thinking like it. And I think that that's another piece, is like knowing when something comes out, because like for me, one of the big subscriptions was like my gym. It changed one month, and I was like,
Wow.
how did this go from this to there? But it was just more on like, me having that understanding of like, okay. And shout out to Ramon for that spreadsheet, because he has it to where it's
Mm-hmm.
like due
Mm-hmm.
dates. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and that honestly helped me realize, like, okay, I need to know when, not only when I get paid, I mean, we
Right.
obviously know that, right? But then there's like the day where it's like, okay, this is coming out and this is coming out and how can I prepare that? You know what I
Right.
mean? And then two,
Yep.
you can even see like at the end of the month, and that financial map is a thing, boy, like for
Mm-hmm.
real. Because then you could see like, all right, at the end of the month, like, I got all of these bills coming out or whatever. Here, let me just try to move something over here so that it makes it a lot more easier and
Right.
more space to
Mm-hmm.
move, versus trying to
Right.
make it stretch, at the beginning or end of the month. You know what I mean? And I think that everybody's situation is different, but it's just more on the aspect of knowing when stuff is coming out and when stuff is coming in, but then also too seeing like, do I really need this? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like a true question, you know what I mean? And like I said, everybody's situation is different. Like, I got two little girls, so there's probably a lot more stuff that I may need, you know what I
Right.
mean, than, y'all, y'all don't got kids, but just more on like making that green a lot more, you know what I mean? As far as,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
okay,
And you,
like having a lot easier green to just kind of hit that shot
Yeah.
at the end of the month. My goal is like to just stuff like that. That's really a big thing. But
Yeah.
right.
I love what y'all are doing, man. Keep going, bro. I was listening to y'all all day, and then I seen y'all pop up. I was like, I gotta tap in. You know what I mean? So for
Appreciate you.
Man,
sure.
when he
Appreciate you.
Not,
hops on here and drop, we're gonna have to clip this up, man. You dropped some gems on
Yeah.
no,
here,
he
man.
did. He
For
did.
Yeah.
sure. You dropped some
Yeah.
gems.
Definitely.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So
But
Glad you
all
asked.
right, I'll see y'all. You know what I mean? I gotta head out. So, but
All right,
yeah, I'm gonna
JB.
definitely be
Go.
tapping in though.
All right,
For
Yep.
brother.
sure.
Take
All right,
care,
bro.
man.
Okay, man.
All right, I'll see y'all.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the facade that I think we often see way too much is that discipline and being mindful of your budget, living below your means, is depriving in a lot of ways when it's actually not, right? Like when you talk about shifting your mindset, that's something that I mentioned earlier. An abundant mindset, like, I think that just understands that like there's a pro to every con and a con to every pro. And I think the biggest one, especially when it comes to like living below your means, is just understanding that like, like I said, prioritizing like your future
Right,
as opposed to like, what Ramon was saying earlier is like it's like a lot of people choose their temptations or like what's desired in the current moment than actually
right,
what's required in the future, right? It's
right,
it's choosing what's desired over required, and I'm
right,
like, man, like what are y'all doing, man?
right. Nice fact. And then you also said something, Z, like depriving yourself. And I'll argue, I feel like deprivation is not too bad sometimes. It all
Hmm.
depends on what you're trying to get to. Because I feel like sometimes you gotta, deprive yourself of certain things. If you're a producer, you focus on music, you gotta deprive yourself from noise and all the distractions. It's not bad
Hmm.
because you know, at the end of the day, you want to be 100% focused. So it's the same thing. If your goal is to be in a better position financially, sometimes you gotta deprive yourself of little pleasure that's gonna like makes it harder for you to reach your goal. But my thing is, it's not gonna be all the time, right? Because at the end of the day, you're gonna reach your point, you're gonna have abundance, and then now you're like, I can bring me all this subscription, bring me the G wagon, and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Because it's funny when I went to Mercedes, like no, I went to Mercedes. I like to look at new cars and stuff like that. And I went there, test drove like the new GRE or whatever, and they were trying to like get me to buy the car. They were like, "Yeah, take the car. You're your girl. I can, take it for 3 hours. We can put place on that stuff." And it was funny, but I was like, in that moment, it felt good. I was like, damn, new car, it drive really nice, but like, I got bigger goals than this right now. That
Hmm.
extra $400 that I'm going to be spending on this car, I can just use that money to invest. And I know for sure in a few years, I'm going to go out there and be able to like buy that car whenever I want. Sometimes it's kind of like you got to be able to like deprive yourself of like what you think you want in that moment to get something better long term. Because
Hmm.
I know by investing that extra maybe $400 into like the S&P 500 like for the next 4 or 5 years, it's gonna be better than me buying that car right now. So even though it looks nice, I'm gonna be like studying out like I'm good. I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna get this later on. But right now, at this moment, I'm gonna deprive myself from that pleasure right now. And so sometimes it just depends on what you're trying to get to, bro.
Yeah.
It's not
A bar, bro. That's a bar, man, and just hitting on that investment piece too, man. It's so important because what I started to realize is it's like it's and I started realizing it sits in different parts of my life, right? But like before you do the thing you want to do, make another move first. That's it
right,
started making me look at everything a little bit differently. So really,
right,
like I said, if you wanted that G wagon, and that and it don't always be a G wagon. Maybe it's a
right,
Netflix subscription, right? Maybe it's just
right,
that 20.99 a month or so. I don't know what it is because I ain't got it, but
right,
what I'm saying is going back to that investment piece. If you did put 400, 500 a month aside for 5 years, you might
right,
have an investment that could pay $400 a month for the car.
right,
You see what I'm
right,
saying? So it's almost like make a move before you make the move you want to do first, right?
right,
So if you put, for sure, if you put $100 aside for, what I'm saying, for a year, you could for sure whatever if you put it into something that's investing and maybe just paying dividends, you could for sure pay your Netflix bill. It'll
right,
pay it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I
right,
mean? So then you never have
Yeah.
to come out of your own pocket. You know what I mean? So that's
right,
I like a lot of things I've been thinking is like before you do this, do that. You know what I
right,
Yeah.
mean? And
right.
those things sit in a lot of pieces of my life right now. So I just had to
Yeah.
throw that in there too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because once you reach that level, bro, you're gonna have abundance. You're gonna be able to do whatever. So for the end of the day, it's easier right now to just like delay that pleasure because you know you want more. You know you want
Mm.
something bigger long term. You know you got that final exam that you got to study for. Yeah, your boy's gonna be like, "Hey, bro, let's go out this weekend." You're like, "Sorry, bro, I can't because I have that finals." Yeah, it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you're not gonna go out every week ever again. But for that
Right.
specific time, you got to go out. And also, when you mentioned, I'm gonna go back to that too, Ramon. one thing I also have been doing lately, because I love to travel. So what I've been doing lately, even though I don't have any trip booked or anything, however, I've been like I created like a whole new account just for travel. So every
That's fire.
month, I just been putting
That's
money in
fire.
there. Like it doesn't matter 100 or 150. It's just like whenever I do decide to travel,
Hmm.
I'm gonna have my travel account. That I can just use that money or maybe use my credit card and then pay that off because I have a
Mhm.
travel account. So that's kind of
Yeah.
something I've been
I
doing
was gonna
right
say,
now.
use the credit card, get them points, man. Get them
Right, use the
points.
credit card and get the point and then pay it off. So I just been putting every
Exactly.
time like $100, $50. I just been putting into that travel account, and it's kind of cool though, just to see like a little bit growing, even though it's not a lot. But the fact that it's growing a little bit. Like oh shoot, now I'm like inspired to do more. I could do something for other stuff.
Right.
Let's say, if I like something else, I'm just gonna pull like maybe $30 a month for this because I'm trying to buy a new watch. If I love watch or whatever, maybe I'm gonna get that shit in a year or two. Just put it aside. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
maybe you might reach that point. You're like, you know what? I don't need to buy a watch no more. Maybe I was in that moment. I can do something else with this money, but at least you have something else still there for you, and you can't go wrong with that. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
share
And
that.
don't chat, man. Don't let DG fool you, man. He'd be like, oh yeah, there ain't a lot in there. There'd be like 23 grand in there. He'd be like, oh, there ain't a lot. No, I'm joking.
A little bit, a little bit, a little
No, I'm
bit.
joking. But nah, that's fire. I think it's important to set aside like whatever it is like that you desire, whether it's travel, whether it's investing more, whether it's buying a new car, whether it's getting a new property, whatever the case may be, like those things that you really want to happen, like, and I mean, the things that are like really aligned with where you want to be, as
Right,
well. Like, I think travel is it at an expense? Absolutely. But like I think some of the best experiences come from traveling, right? So like
right,
that's why I think it's a worthy investment. But that's not for everybody. Some people don't view travel the same way, right? And
right,
so I mean that's the unique thing about life is like you get to dictate whatever it is that you feel is best for yourself. No one
right,
knows you like yourself does. So go out, figure it out what it is. There's plenty of tools out here. Shout out to Ramond because Ramond definitely put us all on like, his budgeting template and whatnot, which has been extremely helpful. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't been using it as much as I should be, but I'm gonna make it a point this week. We will lock in, man. I'm telling you, when we talk about getting so being so diligent about and radical about what it is that we want in our lives. Like this is the shift that's happening in real time, man. Like you talk about
right,
living below your means, we talk about like financial freedom, we talk
right,
about wanting to live out the lives that we've always dreamed of, right?
right,
Like that's happening right before our eyes, but it starts with one step, one day at a time, one budget at a time, like one stock at a time. Like it's not like these things just happen overnight, and that's I think like the not like defeating part about it, but it's just like it's the you're meant to be battle tested, right?
right,
Like I think it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes discipline to really accomplish all the things that you want to. Especially when we're talking about life change, life altering things, right? Financial
right,
freedom and so on and so forth. And I think there's this misconception that it's just gonna happen overnight. Like, I think we all have that mindset, like, oh, like, yeah, we just gonna hit the lotto, or like, like we're gonna get that record deal, whatever the
right,
case. Like, that's just not it's not realistic, right?
right,
Is it likely that it will happen? Hell nah. Could it possibly happen? Yeah, probably like one in like 17,367,000 chances. Yeah, absolutely. But I think every opportunity that you take um, to focus on what's required and what's not desired, you're shifting the odds more in your favor, each and every time that you do that.
right,
So we're shrinking those odds as we speak. And it's going to be exciting to see what happens like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now,
right.
when we chilling on DG's yacht.
Amen. Now,
Yeah.
even going back to what we were talking about earlier too, sometimes like living below your means doesn't always cause it doesn't always have to do with like you making less money, right? Because there are sometimes people who make way more money. We hear the stories all the time about athletes, entertainers. They make so much more money that anyone could ever fathom in their lifetime, but they went broke. And one of the
Broke.
reasons why not living below your means, at the end of the day, you made money, you just go out, you blow it out. And then I was listening to an audiobook, and they mentioned the three M's philosophy, and it was like find a way to make money. And once you make money, now you have to like manage your money. And then the third M is maintenance, right? Once you manage that money, you got to find a way to like maintain that money. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like have got me thinking for a little bit because under there to be in a position financially, you are, of course, you got to find a way to make money. You have to. You can just
Hmm.
save your way to financial success. Now and then you got to like manage that money.
Agreed.
No, I'm not bad. The
Agreed.
third M, the second M is the first M is make. The second M is multiply, and the third M is maintain.
Hmm.
Right. So first you gotta
Hmm.
like find ways to make money, right? Your skill set, things you can like learn, your art and all that stuff. And then multiply, because once you make that money, multiply what we talked about before, investment.
Is it
Find
in
way,
that order?
yes,
Make,
make first,
multiply,
eh,
maintain?
yeah,
Yeah.
maintain slash manage, right? Because you gotta find ways to like make money, right? And then after you make money, you gotta find ways to multiply. Because you can just save your way, to like
Yeah.
Agreed.
to reach that
Yeah.
level. And then
Yeah.
once you're at that level now, once you multiply, you gotta like maintain that.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, if you just have it, you're not maintaining that, it's gonna go
Yeah.
back. So it just got me just to way
Yeah.
to just think about all that. And then one thing he also mentioned, and he was like, those who make money and don't know how to multiply money always live in scarcity. Because at the end of the day, they make money, they're just in their saving, they're
Mm,
afraid because they don't have no
mm.
ways to like multiply that money. They're always in scarcity.
Facts.
Because at the end of the day, something happened, they don't know what to do. But he was like, those who live in abundance are those who followed all three, right? Make, manage, and maintain. And we talk about like the athlete, they only focus on the first step, make. They know how to make money. Like, those all who went broke, but they never
Yeah.
figure out a way to like manage or multiply that money. That's why they are broke. So if you just make money, if you
Yeah.
don't learn the last two, you're gonna go broke because you know how to make
Yeah.
money, but you don't know how to like multiply or maintain. But if
Yeah.
you want to know how to make and multiply, at the end of the day, you're gonna if you want to know how to make and maintain and not know how to multiply, you're always gonna be in scarcity
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you don't know how to do that. And not just resting on it with me. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
as I'm going through life, that's kind of like I'm trying to adapt that mindset,
Absolutely.
find ways to make, multiply, and then maintain. So I just
Appreciate you
wanted to
sharing that
share that.
too. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
fire. That's a
Of
bar. I
course.
appreciate you sharing that. Something that I did want to point out that I'm glad that you also shared is that's such a myth. You cannot save your way to financial freedom. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
You cannot save your way to financial freedom. And like, is it important to save? Absolutely.
Of
Like, is
course.
is it important to have your retirement savings accounts, your 401ks, all of that? Absolutely. I don't know anyone who got rich off a 401k account.
Right.
Not a single person. I know people who like, to DG's point, who learned how to like manage and maintain that money. Like,
Right.
like, right? Like whatever the age is, I think it's what, like 63 or something like that, that you can like access like your 401k or retirement savings
Right.
account or something like that. Can't remember what the exact age is, but
I think
regardless, like,
65 to 63.
yeah,
Yeah.
like regardless of what the age is, yeah, of course, like you can manage, let's say like your 401k, now you're sitting on like, 613k. Yeah, absolutely. You can manage that money and live out a good life.
Right.
Are, is that financial freedom? No, that's not financial freedom. Like
Right.
I think that's a great place to be in and figuring out, but if you can figure out how to multiply and turn, whatever that is, that 613k into,
Right.
if you double it, 1.2 million, right? Like it's just, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of diligence, a lot of discipline. It takes a lot, man. Um, it takes a lot of learning too, like just
Right.
figuring things out. Sometimes you just stumble along the way. Um, and that's just all of a part of the journey. Like it's not this linear path to financial freedom, right? Like there's a lot of ups and downs along the way. But I'm glad that you mentioned that, DG, because
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah, and also Z, I just want to add that too. I'll even like argue, I'll say like 401k is more like a multiplication than savings, right? Because if you're
Yep.
just in the
Yeah,
savings, it's
absolutely.
not doing anything,
Absolutely.
But the more you contribute to the 401k, is like because with compound, that can even grow more, especially if you're younger.
Of course.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so like there, that actually, so I'll say 401k is even more than savings. Because
For
saving,
sure.
like, bro, when I look at my account in Chase over the year, it was like 0.001%.
Yeah.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
How am I
Lying,
supposed to
bro.
like give more when I follow this fucking
Let me throw this in here while he's saying that because that's super facts. Most banks is like that too. Most banks is not going. They going the interest they're gonna give you is 0.0001%. So
Yeah.
if just the one gem I could just throw in here right now, if you do want to, you almost have to learn to save before you can learn to invest. That's just the truth.
I,
I think
right,
you gotta
Yeah.
learn. That's like the steps. I feel like it's not easy to go from never saving anything to straight investing. I think that's not.
right.
You got to learn how to save. So if you start saving get a high yield savings, man. That's my first piece. It's like there's so many banks that just don't give you any interest, but there are banks
Most bank,
they call
right.
them high yield savings where you could get up to like sometimes 5% on your money for just sitting in it in the savings, right? So it
Right.
don't
Hmm.
seem like a lot, but if you got $1,000 over there at the end of the year, you got $1,050 versus $1,002. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you can do the math as you go up. So at very least, get you a high yield savings, man, for sure.
Bars, bro. I'm gonna put in the chat.
At very least, start there, man. I suggest SoFi, man. If y'all need the link, let me know.
Yeah, we let's do this. No, it's dope that you mentioned that because my sofa I checked the other day. I like even though it's not a lot, but better than
It's
like what I
growing.
had in share. It's growing a little bit, but that
Yeah,
little percentage, instead of just having the money in just regular savings account. And also one thing too, though, if you don't need the money too, right? Let's say you had 10K in your savings account, you don't need it for like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 months. CD would be another good place to put that money
sir.
into. Yeah, so that's something like it's kind of like maybe 3 or 4 5% that can grow. But on the downside with CD is you're not allowed to take that money for that specific time period.
What I was gonna say before we got cut off is I know we were mentioning ways to like go about effectively saving money.
Right.
Don't sleep on Robinhood though, too though. Like, like that's the money that you just have sitting in there accrues interest as well. Like it's not a lot. I think it's like 1.5% or something like that. But if you have Robinhood Gold,
Mm-hmm.
then that accrues more. I think that's like 5% or something like that. I can't remember what the exact percentages are and whatnot. But
Oh, like just the money that you just have in like your buying power.
it's just in your buying power, it accrues
Okay.
interest.
I got
Yep.
Go, but I never really pay attention to that. But I need to start looking
Yeah,
into that.
Whatever's in your
exactly.
buying power, you getting 5% on it.
You getting
So
interest in it. Yep.
Okay. Gee,
So
I need to start adding more in my buying power just to sit there.
yeah,
I
that's what
just
I'm
started
saying.
you said like another high yield savings. That's how I looked at it.
Right.
Is like, you know what I mean? For keep a little amount in there and that I don't dip under, but
Right. But yeah, I mean, I have the Go membership, but yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's
that's
nice because
dope.
like it's already in your buying power. So
Right.
if you want to go and like, buy some stock or crypto, whatever the case may be, you just do it, right? So
yeah, yeah.
um yeah.
Good call.
No, thanks for sharing that, Z, because I'm gonna be looking into that. Because that's like today I was thinking like, man, I think I have an addiction because I look at my brokerage account way too much. Like it's market is closing, I'm
How many
buying
times a
stuff.
day? How many?
I don't, I don't know. I lost count.
The worst thing, the worst thing is this, bro. Like the days when it be like a holiday or something, and you you sit there on
I'm
there
still
checking that shit. Yeah,
looking. It's
I feel
it's
you.
like an addiction.
Same,
I
bro.
was like, so I think I'm
Same, bro.
addicted to looking, bro. It's not healthy.
Definitely not, man. We're growing. I mean, it's part of it, man. I think JP said it the best. Is I guess it's better to overlook than to underlook. Like what I'm
Right,
saying.
Facts.
right,
It's actually funny.
Facts.
I'm reading that I'm reading the Earn Your Leisure book now. The You Deserve to Be Rich, and it talked about like it's unhealthy to overcheck and undercheck. It's definitely
right,
unhealthy
It's
on
both.
both
Yeah.
sides. You know what I
right,
mean? Like the over is kind of like in the beginning you're just trying to make sure that
right,
everything's going, and the more money you got in there, you want to just check it. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that's maybe something to work on, but
right.
it's still better than never looking, bro.
Right. No, I agree, but no, but it's negative. I know it's negative, but however, I do feel inspired though, because when I look now, I'm thinking about, oh shit, I need money to like, I want to invest more. I want to like,
Yeah.
add more to it. I feel like that's kind of like I'm inspired when I do look. I be
Hmm.
thinking about like, oh, who owe me money? I want to reach out to people.
Hey, on my spreadsheet, I even got the people that owe me on it. I
I like
know.
who, I like
You know
who
what I'm
owe
saying?
me right now. I need that money
Yeah.
to invest that.
Come on.
He got cousin James on there. He got cousin.
Yeah. Come on, man.
He said, yeah, he owed me about $72.
Yeah, like I need my money now, but I don't know for me, yeah, even though I think it's a little bit obsessive, but to me, like it's always like from a place of inspiration. When I look, I'm like, all right, I need to do more. I need to do more.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
not like
Yeah,
a bad. I'm not. It's not like from a bad place. One of those addiction that's kind of like bad, but for me,
It's
it's
good.
more about
It's a
like
good one.
inspiration.
I
yeah,
would argue it's a good one. Like, we talk about how many people, someone said that was bad, how many times do people open up Instagram a day? You
A
know what I mean?
lot,
Like, if
right?
I started looking at certain things like that, it's like open up apps that's gonna actually like be
yeah,
adding to
yeah,
helping me versus like social media sometimes, right? Like
yeah,
I
Right,
find myself sometimes hopping on social media more than I should, but then
right,
I kind of connected to like hop right off and get on like a
yeah, yeah,
saying like a Robin Hood or check the
yeah,
account. You know what I'm saying? So, just so I think it is important to like if you if you can't kill a habit, try to trade it with something a little more that's gonna actually be
right,
beneficial. You
right,
know what I mean? There's some one last piece I wanted to add because we was talking about like a Netflix subscription yesterday. I mean earlier. Um, and I heard somebody say something that really sat with me, man. And it was like the first thing you need to do if you're trying to like build money is get rid of the Netflix subscription. And it was like it's not about the $20 a month. It's
right.
about the 2 hours that you spend on it every day.
I like that
mm,
approach
And I
better.
was like,
Right,
mm,
damn. I was like,
mm,
damn, that's something to really think about. What else could you be doing with that 2 hours?
mm-hmm.
right,
Even if you just hopped on YouTube University, I bet you in two
Yeah,
hours over the week, the time that you would have like binge watched something, you could probably learn a whole new skill. You can
right,
learn everything we just talked about: high yield savings, CDs, you know what I mean, brokerage accounts in a week. You know what I mean? The
right.
same time it would take you to binge watch something. So that just really sat
that's a
with me.
bar.
Like it was a
Yeah,
bar. It's not about the $20 a month. It's about the two
right,
hours a day that you spend on it. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah,
But I'm not. I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not getting rid of my Netflix.
Ain't wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong. If you got it, you got it, man. And I don't be
No,
wanting to
but
take
I
I
people's
ain't, I
joy
agree.
ain't, I ain't
sometimes.
even got a Netflix
Yeah,
account,
I don't
so
want to
I,
take people's joy sometimes, but it's something to
Right,
think about, man. If you don't love the space that you in,
right, right. No, I
those
agree with him. I know
sacrifices that we
it's true.
talking about,
It's
some
facts.
things like that, something's got to go, man. Something's got to
Right.
give.
No,
hmm
I agree. Because like what you said, if you're just looking at it more from like a time perspective than the money. Because if you're just out there watching Netflix all day and not doing anything, yeah, it's not about the money. It's more about the time that it's costing you. So I do
hmm
agree. I do agree. That makes sense. Because yeah, you can afford $20, but now you're out there like 4 or 5 hours watching movies all day instead of like
All
learning
right.
something.
Can
Starting
you
the day
afford
like
10 hours a week?
right,
That's
right.
expensive now. That's
Starting the day
expensive
like
now. You
Netflix.
know what I'm
Netflix is
saying?
like costing you more your time because you
Exactly.
you are the product, and you're paying for that too. You're giving them your money and your time.
Right.
You're not just
and
giving.
I mean, to your point, DG, I know you said it's obsessive, but you have to be obsessive about the things that you
True.
want in life. If you want them to happen, if you want them to manifest, you have to be obsessive about it. Like,
Right.
uh, I know that sounds crazy, but in a
It's
lot of
not
ways, it
crazy. I
is.
agree. I agree.
Like,
Hmm.
I think obsession is important. Like, when it comes, at least as long as it's healthy obsessions, right? Like, I
Right.
think being obsessed about getting in shape, being obsessed about like financial wellness, like about your mental wellness, those types of things. It's important to be obsessed about those because, like, hell yeah, I'm obsessed about that because I want to be like I want to make sure I'm together in every aspect of my life.
Right.
So absolutely, those are things I'm going to obsess about.
Right.
Um, the only thing I won't obsess about is love, man. That's the only part of my life that I struggle with, boy. But hey, man, everything else healthy, I'm obsessed about. But hey, that's a story for that's another episode in itself.
All right, I know we're getting close to that time right now. Any other remarks, thing to add? Like, any would you rather?
You got one for us, Z?
Not a really good one, unfortunately. Like I was really trying to think of some like real uh controversial ones, but I really couldn't come up with anything, man. I think yeah, I guess I'll just ask it. We'll just go from there. Would you rather always look rich but be living paycheck to paycheck, or look broke but secretly have millions?
That's
That's easy.
come on, Z.
Exactly.
Don't give
It's
me
not.
that
Exactly.
It
one.
might not be easy for Diamond.
Nah, that's too easy, bro. That's hella
But I
easy.
mean,
That's
like,
easy,
but you
bro.
you you really have to like look broke though. Like we're
We have to
talking
look
about extremes though.
like homeless,
Yeah,
or like
broke,
Not
Or
broke,
not
like
broke,
Walmart,
homeless.
like
Like
broke,
Walmart.
you
broke.
just
Yeah.
you just couldn't wear any like name brand shit. Like
Oh,
I'm talking
that's
about no like you can't wear Nike, you can't wear
yes,
like Adidas, you can't wear any
yes.
like you can't wear none of that.
bro.
Uh,
Mil me,
I'll walk
yeah,
around barefoot.
yeah, 5 mil me now, brother.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, send me, a year's worth of supply of Walmart gear and my
Yeah,
5 million right now, brother. You know what I'm
but
saying?
you tell me like I can get the house that I want, everything, and then I
yeah,
Everything,
just
bro.
yeah,
that
That's not even.
no, that's too easy. I feel like that's too easy.
yeah. That's why I was like, I was trying to come up with something good, man, but I couldn't think of
Yeah,
anything.
because anyone really pick that option, there's something wrong with you though. To be honest, if
Yeah.
you really, I'm not, I shouldn't say that, but if you really pick that to look rich, but you live in paycheck to paycheck over like subtle wealth,
All right, does y'all answer say the same? If you can't, if you get the money, but you can't buy not just clothes, but any like luxury things,
like homes,
anything,
is that like luxury thing or a house would be
luxury,
luxury thing?
everything,
So,
luxury,
like,
everything.
what's defined as a luxury home then?
You can get a home. You can get. I mean, like
Yeah, what's
you
a
know what a
luxury home?
mansion looks like. You know what $1 million house
Oh,
looks like. You
that's fine.
Yeah,
get
but I mean,
250.
but that like, and $1 million home in New York is a lot different than $1 million home in like Texas. That's what I'm
True.
saying. Like, what's
That's
a
true.
luxury home at that point? Because those are two completely different
Nah,
homes.
Right.
You know?
but we know what a luxury home is, right? We know what a mansion looks like. So you would just we
Oh
know
yeah,
what luxury. You know what a
that's
luxury is.
yeah.
You're
I
not
would say
getting
that's
anything
fine.
luxury. Like you you just getting generic everything.
I mean,
Does y'all
I gotta
answer say
get.
the same? I'm talking about
So
like
like,
soaps, anything luxury, like foods. Like it's just
I mean, but
you
you
real.
health though. You can just eat
No, you
bullshit
get
ass food
healthy for
though.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you can bullshit, but don't think you getting the T-bone. You know what I'm saying? Don't
That's
think
not
you
healthy,
getting
man.
the.
That's not
don't,
healthy.
there's
you can
T
be
there
healthy
you
with
can go to the store and get T-bone steaks. What are you talking about?
that's luxury food though, is what I'm
How's that
saying.
luxury?
How is that luxury food?
Because it's expensive.
No.
It's not
No. It's just
No,
healthier options,
no,
bro.
you can't eat out. Like I like if you went out to eat
Right.
and like got a T-bone, that's different.
Right.
But I'm like if I go to Walmart and buy some T-bone steaks, fam, that's not
Right.
luxury.
Yeah, it's not a
okay,
luxury,
but then,
bro.
okay. But listen, I'll give you like things, but still just like luxury. You don't think you're just gonna be at the crib just beating the system, eating crab and shit. Like you know.
So you
But
telling me like,
I'm just saying, no look. That's the question. Is really like no extra luxuries. You just have
but what?
the
So when
basics of everything.
so you can't travel then, because I'm ended it. Because I'll argue if you go to a
You
nice.
can, but you're gonna be, ain't no first class.
Oh, that's cool. But what
Yeah,
No,
about?
I'm
no,
okay. I'm okay with not flying first
But
class.
can you
But
stay in like a nice
you got the money.
Airbnb?
No luxuries, man. It's
Oh,
basic
but yeah,
everything.
what base? That's what I'm saying. I gotta
dude,
understand because
what's like a basic
a
hotel then?
basic in Thailand would be
I gotta
really
stay
A
somewhere.
nice.
Sheraton, a Sheraton. You're not gonna be at the Four Seasons, is what I'm saying. You're not gonna be Ritz Carlton. None of that. Like they're rolling out the, red carpet for you. It's a basic room. You can do it.
I'll still
But
take that option, bro. Then that, even though it might be a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit harder,
definitely still taking that option,
I'll still
bro.
take that option, like because at the end of the day, I can still travel whenever I want.
mm-hmm.
You know, like
Being
I'm
broke
with
is
you.
stressful, bro. Like,
I'm with you.
I'm
and,
taking that any day.
imagine if you lose your job, you're done.
You're
Because
cooked. You're cooked, bro.
living paycheck to paycheck to me is like you don't have no savings, you don't have
You
investments, you
are
don't have
done.
anything going on for you. So at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's like the money coming and just going right back out. It's like they give it to you, just throw it right back today. Like you play, football, like throw it right back. So that's to me, that's what I think about. And imagine being in that state of survival mode for the rest of my life. That's scary to me. Even in this
yeah,
position, I feel good, but I'm still in the sense that like I want to do more. I want to be in a
yeah,
position. Then imagine being at that position, paycheck to paycheck, right now.
yeah.
I'll
My
shop at
last
Walmart all day.
last quick question before we go, and it's a little. I guess it could be controversial. Do
Right.
y'all think living paycheck to paycheck is a choice?
I would say I would say
Mm,
to a certain level,
yes.
yes, bro. Because I believe
Yeah.
everything in your life
To a
is a
degree.
choice. Everything in
To a
life is a
degree.
choice. I would say yes. It's harder for other people, but can you change that? Yes. Is it gonna be hard? Yes. But
Hmm.
to just live paycheck to paycheck the rest of your life, it's a choice because you did something, right? Some shit happens that got you in that position. Maybe it wasn't like when we talked about earlier, like you didn't have a financial navigation map, a budget, and you just money just comes in, you're just going out. Some shit happened and they just forgot about it. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I believe that if you're living paycheck to paycheck now, you can change that with hard work, discipline, and then just cutting down, right? maybe be in a bigger house, maybe get us something smaller.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that sometimes,
Yeah.
like God forbid anything happen right now. If I have the skill, I wouldn't mind getting a condo to get
Yeah.
back to where I want to
Mhm.
be.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah.
then
That's the
yeah,
thing is like people like it's a pride thing. I think we talk about it all the time, right? It's a pride thing for sure. Like where it's just like, we feel like we got to keep up this lifestyle or maintain this
no,
like, and it's just like, fam, like you don't have to do that, right?
yeah,
You don't have to stay in that $3,700 apartment, bro. Like you
yeah,
don't have to do that. Like, right?
Right.
get a
That's a
roommate,
choice. Like you can get a roommate, you can get a smaller place. Like,
yeah,
is it a sacrifice? Absolutely. But like, I think like I said, there's a pro to every con and a con to every pro. And a lot of people are just unwilling to bite that bullet and really just trim the fat, as they quote unquote say, to really make themselves free of that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, right? Like you might be living paycheck to paycheck because your rent probably occupies like 70% of your expenses, right? It's just like
right,
that's crazy, right? You need to switch up that living circumstances, right?
right,
Like but and the crazy thing is I feel like I see that a lot in New York too, like where it's just like, like a lot of people are just choosing to just like to be this. And granted, like it's interesting because like I love New York and like there's I think there's something very unique about this place and the people here. But it's crazy to me that like some people have like never lived anywhere but New York, and I'm just like,
right.
fam, like if you're broke, but like if you took your same exact like
Move to
everything
Kentucky.
and moved not even to like a Kentucky, bro, like you could move to like damn
Arizona.
near almost anywhere else in the US and
Right,
immediately save a lot of money, right?
right,
And granted you get what you're paid for, but like I don't know. I think that's the one thing that I appreciate the most about us is that like we understand that like every decision that you make is not permanent, right? I
right,
think so many people have like just such like a finite mindset where it's just like, well, if I move here, like let's say for instance, like if I move to Kentucky, right? I'm there forever. And it's just like, no,
right,
I'm not saying you have to do that. Like I'm saying like you can live below your means. That means if that means biting the bullet and having to move and just saving $1,000 a month, right? For the next 2 years, whatever the case may be, that's a lot of money that you saved over that time. Now, it's also important what you do with that money over that time as well, right? But it's not like it's a forever thing. Like it's
right.
if you want something bad enough, like if you had to leave New York and then come back like that, like why could you not do
Right.
that? Like it's
No,
it's
I
really
agree.
just about prioritizing what it is that you truly want, and not letting your ego get in the way. And that's the biggest thing, man. I ain't gonna lie, I think about that often. Ego kills so many dreams, bro, and so many
Facts.
opportunities for us. Like it's so crazy to think about, but it absolutely does.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Ramon? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. And a lot of people would say it's easy to say in our positions because we have a lot of like natural blessings, right? We have a lot of just things that we is around us, opportunities. Some people are in places that
But
might
we,
not have the same
right, that's true.
opportunities. So I do want to like speak for them real quick. Is like sometimes paycheck to paycheck. To be honest, where they're at is almost the best they can do, right? But
Hmm.
for most people, it's absolutely a choice. And I wanted to ask that question just to kind of like for anybody that was on here, maybe watch it later, see this piece to just really kind of sometimes you gotta look in that mirror and just be like, when we talking about these needs and wants, your actual needs are a lot smaller than you think they are.
Hmm.
You
Right,
actually what do you actually probably need is shelter, food, and water.
right,
That's probably what you actually need.
Hmm.
Now, we be thinking that there's certain things that we need inside of that, you know what I mean? But those are your actual real needs. So if you are
right,
paycheck to paycheck at whatever you make, if you can get, lower things down to where those are met and you got more space between it, you don't have to be paycheck to paycheck, man.
right.
So
No, I agree. There are some people it's hard for them, but I still believe that you still have the autonomy to change that. I don't know. I'm just a firm believer. I just believe that whatever happened in our life, we play a role.
Hmm.
You are part of that. You know, you did something that put you in that position. And the good thing is you can do something to get you out of it. That's
Yeah.
why I believe. So at the end
Yeah.
of the day, just like
Yeah.
I don't know, I just like to take full accountability of everything. So I do believe that if you
Yeah.
are doing that, yeah, it might be hard with certain situation, but at the end of the day, you probably did something to put yourself in that position. And the good thing, you can change that too. It just
Yeah.
might be a little bit harder. You just gotta like dig in a little bit deeper, like kind of like what we're talking about today. Like to get to that next level now, we have to dig in a little bit more than what we're doing now. Because like
Yeah.
what we're doing now is not gonna help us transcend us to that next level we're trying to get to. It's gonna require more. Can we? It's like right now. It's like I was like, you know what? Life is comfortable, man. We got a house. We're chilling. Like I'm okay right now. That's my choice.
Hmm.
But we know within ourselves we want more, and we know to get more is like we got to do way more than what we're doing right
Yeah.
now. And
Because
other and go ahead, Z.
no, no, go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna say, and it's okay if you don't want that, right? Because I want
Yeah.
that, so I'm willing to. That's
Yeah.
why after this live, I'm
Yeah.
willing to put in the extra 2 hours. I could go and watch a movie right now, but I'm willing to do that because I want more.
Yeah.
Z is willing to do that because he want more. You willing to do that, so it all depends on the individual. Like, and
Yeah.
also you can always get more skills, right? If you had a job that underpaying you, you can learn something. It's never too late. You're never too old to learn, right? You can be like, oh, I'm old. No, you're never too old. You can
Hmm.
learn something that you can like do a little side hustle. It's harder. It's not easy, especially when you have family and kids. It's hard. Like we
Yeah.
we are blessed, like you said, Ramon. We are blessed, luck, and all that. I attribute that too. Of course, you need a little bit of luck, but at the end of the day, like you got to make that decision for
Yeah.
you.
And to the point of what you said, Ramon, like, yeah, I get you can't always control the cards that you're dealt. That is true. Like you can't always control that, right? Um, but you absolutely I think to say that you don't have control over your life is kind of nuts though.
Right,
I feel like if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen. It may not, it may take a lot of time. Like, and
right,
granted, like when you're dealt worse cards, it's going to take a lot longer than probably the person who was dealt better cards than you. Absolutely.
right,
Right? But there's so many success stories in today's age. Like, there's so many people who like literally made it from nothing. Like, you talk about like a lot of immigrants. Like I love immigrant stories because you were talking about people who literally came to this country with nothing and like literally made a fortune, just
right.
because they were willing to work hard enough. That's something that I was like, like being the child of an immigrant, right? I've that's something that I always appreciate, like my mom's work ethic. Like I'll never like underestimate, like my mom's will and whatnot. And in a lot of ways that got instilled in me. I think it's just important to like be mindful of like where you direct that work ethic and being intentional about that, right? But I think there's a lot of value that comes from just like when you put your ego aside. I feel like we talk about ego all the time. A lot of immigrants like put their egos aside and they're just willing to do whatever it
Facts,
takes,
facts.
willing to work whatever job. All the jobs that a lot of Americans don't want to work, immigrants are working, right? Because they're just like
Facts.
they probably can't do it any better. Like they can like they maybe they don't have papers, maybe like whatever their circumstances are, they can't go out and get the jobs
Right,
that ultimately they want and stuff like that. But it's never an excuse though. It's just like shit, you just show up and you do it, right? Like in
right.
uh one of the clients that I'm actually working with, on my job, it's a guy who he's originally from Vietnam and he made his first million um selling credit cards door to door. Literally just door to door, going door to door selling credit cards. That's how he made his
Oh
first million
wow,
dollars. And now he's a multimillionaire. He's started multiple startups at this point.
that's
Um,
dope.
and I think it's crazy to like when you hear stories like that, it's just like you literally went door to door and
Right.
sold credit cards and made $1 million doing that. Like that's a different type of grind, right? Like that's like there's a lot of ego that he probably had to put aside, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
like
of course.
you're probably out there working 13 hours, 14 hours going door to door and like probably not being able to see your family a lot and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's just like, what are you willing to like make happen? And it's just if you want something bad enough, you will absolutely do it. You'll find a way.
Right.
Um, and granted, like I said, you can't control the cards that you're dealt, but you absolutely are in control of every decision that you make of if you need to downsize your home, if you need to sell your car, like if there's certain sacrifices that you like, there's certain sacrifices that you just can't make. And I understand that. Like,
Right.
I absolutely understand that. And I don't want to sit here and be inconsiderate to anyone's situation. Like, that's not what
Right.
I'm trying to do. Like, I'm not trying to downplay or
Right.
undermine anyone's situation. But in today's age in 2025, you can damn near make money doing anything, right?
Right.
Anything, right? And if you want something bad enough, it'll happen. Like if you don't want it,
Right.
maybe you just didn't like if it doesn't happen, maybe you just didn't want it bad enough. And I don't think that's always fair to say. Sometimes you do, and it doesn't work out. That's also just naturally a part of life, right?
Right.
I know that's something that we talk about all the time. It's like there are plenty of people who want it bad enough. It just like they just never got their break, like right and whatnot. Like I don't want to discredit that either, but there's a lot
Right.
that you're absolutely in control of. And to DG's point, like you have to just be willing to take accountability for that though.
Right.
Or you can't always point the finger outside of yourself because
Hmm.
then you'll never do anything.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Facts.
I heard something that said that like the longer you point the finger outside of yourself, the longer it's gonna take you to look inside and be like, there's something that I could do though. What can I control?
Right.
Hmm.
There's some shit that you can't control, but what can you control? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of, you know what
Right.
I'm saying, yelling, this person did that, they did this. If the boss just did this, maybe you need another boss. Maybe you don't need a
Right.
boss at all. Maybe you can start your own
Yeah.
business. You know what I'm saying? Like it really, it's like, what can I do to throw in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And granted, accountability is a hard thing, man. Like, it's hard to swallow, like I said, ego, right? It's hard to swallow your ego sometimes and just understand that it's just like, you know what? This is my fault, or that was my fault. Like
Right.
that's not always the easiest thing to do.
It's
But
hard.
the sooner that you can do that, the sooner that you're going to get a step closer to wherever it is that you want to be, right? It's
Right.
just understanding that like you're in control of your own fate.
Right. No, it's fact. And also, like, we're not talking about multi-millionaire right here. We're just talking about just not living paycheck to paycheck, like the bare
Hmm.
minimum. You know what I'm saying? We don't say, oh, you need to have like 500K in your bank account. No, we just say like paycheck to pay, just not live paycheck to paycheck. So at the end of the day, like, it's hard, but you can control that if you really try to put in the work and do something a little different.
So hard to say goodbye.
Yeah,
Yes. You
but yeah, I know.
cut out, GG.
Yeah, I just want
Yeah.
to say, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah, we
you
can hear
now.
you now.
Yeah, I just want to say a big shout out to everyone who joined the live today, man. It
Yeah,
was a
shout
good
out.
one. And shout out, thanks for being active in the chat. We appreciate you guys for joining. It
Yeah.
means a lot to us.
And shout out to JP for hopping on and sharing some gems too, man. Definitely appreciate that. But, you know, we'll be back next week, next Monday. We back to regular scheduled programming, man. We back in full effect. Um, and just excited, man. It's there's something in the air, we can feel the shift happening in real time. And, like I said, we're in this stage of like radically choosing everything that we've ever wanted. Because the thing is, it's a lot closer than we think, right? Like
Right,
like there's this idea in our heads that like what everything that we want is just so far away. Um, but each and every decision that you make gets you a step closer, and you realize how big those steps actually are. It's just like, damn, like I know they feel insignificant at times, but when you truly reflect, and it's just like, man, I know we're so much closer than we were a year ago, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Um, and it's just exciting, man. So appreciate everybody for coming on this journey with us, tapping in every week. Or if this was your first week, whatever the case may be sure to tap in next Monday. We're here every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Manifest Mondays. I'm Zenas, that's Ramond, that's DG, and we are the Spot Network. We'll catch y'all next time, man.
all right, fellas. Take care, y'all.
All right, y'all.